Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, إِنَّا عَرَضْنَا الْأَمَانَةَ عَلَى السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَالْجِبَالِ فَأَبَيْنَ أَنْ يَحْمِلْنَهَا وَأَشْفَقْنَ مِنْهَا. That we showed this trust, this amana to the heavens and the earth and the mountains. These are the great creations of Allah. Mufassirun say that these are the makhluqat al-'idham, these vast creations of Allah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala offered them, and the ulama differ on what that means. Some say that it's a figurative sense, to show what it means, and others say that it has a meaning that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows, but it should be understood like that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that He gave this amana to the heavens and earth and the mountains, and they refused it. And then ashfaqna minha. Ishfaq is to have like awe or fear of something. And وَحَمَلَهَا الْإِنسَانِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that the human being carried it. He took on this thing. And the Mufassirun, some say Adam alayhi salam, some say just the human being took this upon himself. And some of the Mufassirun, they say that what it means is that we had a choice in this, that there was actual choice, and we chose, and now we have the responsibility of that choice. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says إِنَّهُ كَانَ ظَلُومًا جَهُولًا, that the human being is oft oppressing. He oppresses himself and others, and that he's also ignorant. And this is not an ignorant, it's an ignorant that it's a hyperbolic form. In other words, extremely ignorant. ظَلُومًا جَهُولًا. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and then uses what the grammarians call lam al-aqiba or sarura. It's not a ta'deed. In other words, it's not we did it in order to, but it says, and the result of that, of carrying this amana, right, is that لِيُعَذِّبَ اللَّهُ الْمُنَافِقِينَ وَالْمُنَافِقَاتِ وَالْمُشْرِكِينَ وَالْمُشْرِكَاتِ وَيَتُوبَ اللَّهُ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ. In order is what we would normally, but here it means the result of carrying this amana and being oppressive and ignorant is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will punish the hypocrites who outwardly say they're doing it, but inwardly they're not doing it, and the mushrikeen and the mushrikat, those who reject tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَكَانَ اللَّهُ غَفُورًا رَحِيمًا. He's forgiving for those who attempt to carry it and they have shortcomings and failures, and He's merciful for those who fulfill it, from the awliya, the anbiya, the shuhada, the siddiqeen, the salihin, all of those high-ranked people. So the amana, they differ on what that means. Some of the ulama said the amana is all the nawahi and the awamir that Allah has told us. In other words, all those things that He's told us to do and those things that He's prohibited us from, this is the trust that Allah gave. And others say that the inward, there is a amana batina, which is tawheed, to have correct understanding of Allah and realize it. Ma'rifah, fa'lam annahu la ilaha illallah. Know, have ma'rifah, that there's no God except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the outward is to act in accordance with that understanding. So you have iman and a'mal, and this is the amana that we've been given from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet ﷺ said, أَلَا لَا إِمَانَ لِمَنْ لَا أَمَانَةَ لَهُ. You have no iman if you have no trust. And they're related because the word iman comes from the same word as trust. So the trust is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's a covenant that Allah has given us. It's a mithaq, and it's a ghalib, it's a weighty covenant. If you renege on the covenant that Allah has given you, then punishments come. If Allah is merciful, they come in this world. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ said, جُعِلَ عَذَابُ أُمَّتِي بِأَيْدِيهَا فِي دُنْيَاهَا. The punishment of my ummah is with their own hands in this world. Therefore, actually, this is how Allah inflicts punishment on the ummah that He loves, because they're not fulfilling the covenant. So He puts it in their own hands. They give each other adab. They torture each other so that they don't have to do this in the next world. Because this is the place of tamheez. This is the place of tazkiyah. This is where people are supposed to be purified. Now, one of the things that the angel said when Allah said, "Inni da'irun fil ardi khalifa," the angel, and this is not ihtijaj, they're asking a question because they saw what the jinn did before the humans. If you're going to put another group of people that have free will, then they're going to shed blood and sow corruption in the earth. So the angel, the thing that troubled them was the shedding of blood and the sowing of corruption. And this is why the Prophet ﷺ said, you will have fusha with your Lord. In a sahih hadith, you will have fusha with your Lord as long as you haven't shed blood. On the Yawm al-Qiyamah, you will have room with your Lord as long as you haven't taken a life. The Prophet ﷺ said, "La tarji'u ba'di kuffara yadribu ba'dukum ba'da." Don't be kuffar after I leave you, striking each other's necks. In other words, don't kill each other after I leave you. He asked Allah that the sword would never descend on His ummah fighting each other, and Allah said that, and this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is maktub alayna, because the human being, if Allah suspended that, then He's basically suspending free will. Because human beings, when they don't purify themselves, they can become violent. And they can become extremely violent. La yanalu ahdi al-zalimin. This ahad, this covenant it's not given to oppressors. This is a sacred trust that Allah has given us. And this is why, if you look at our ummah right now, it's amazing. You have to marvel at the condition of the ummah. Why our ummah? Why? Well, look at us. Look at us as an ummah. What are we doing? What have we done for this religion? And now we have people out there that are claiming to be acting on Islam, doing things that in the history of Islam, nobody has ever done. Even the Khawarij, in the early period, didn't blow up tombs. I mean, even the dead people aren't safe from these people, let alone the living. It's amazing. Ahmad Zarruq slept peacefully since 1492 when he died. And nobody ever thought of going and disturbing his maqam. Imam Nawawi, one of the biggest of the ulama and awliya, from the aqtab, man adali waliyan adantuhu bil harb. How can you have success if not, let alone the living, but you're attacking the greatest of the dead? It's amazing. But we have, unfortunately, some young people getting confused, some of them even going. I want to say something about our Prophet ﷺ. Abdullah bin Salam, who was a Jewish man, who became Muslim, he was a rabbi in Medina. He was the most learned of the Jews in Medina. When the Prophet ﷺ came, he went to see him. This is the first khutbah that the Prophet ﷺ gave in Medina. He went to see him, and he said, this is in At-Tirmidhi and Ibn Majah and others relate this. He said, when he saw him, عَلِمْتُ أَنَّ وَجْهَهُ لَيْسَ وَجْهَ كَذَّابٍ. I knew that this man did not have the face of a liar. This is what the Arabs call firasa. You know, it's the ability to see character in people's faces. And the Arabs call the face, one of the names of the face is al-sahifa. It's like your register. It shows you. They say by 50, everybody has the face they deserve. You know, if you lived a good life, people will still like looking at your face. If you lived a bad life, they'll have a hard time looking at you. Right? So, this is what he said. عَلِمْتُ أَنَّ وَجْهُهُ لَيْسَ وَجْهَ كَذَّابٍ. And then he said, وَسَمِعْتُهُ يَقُولُ وَكَانَ أَوَّلَ مَا سَمِعْتُهُ يَقُولُ. The first thing I heard him say was, يَا أَيُّهَا النَّاسِ. And the nas is for everybody, not just the believer. This is humanity. يَا أَيُّهَا النَّاسِ أَفْشُوا السَّلَامَ وَأَطْعِمُوا الطَّعَامَ وَصِلُوا الْأَرْحَامَ
وَصَلُّوا بِاللَّيْلِ وَالنَّاسُ نِيَامٌ تَدْخُلُ الْجَنَّةَ بِسَلَامٍ. Oh humanity, spread peace. He begins with peace. Spread peace. Feed food. This is like, now they call it the hierarchy of needs. Create security so that people feel safe, and then provide their basic needs. Feed the hungry, and then maintain your kinship bond. Because if you maintain your blood bond, the society will be healthy. It will be safe. It will be secure. When people take care of their own family, because family is the foundation of civilization. It's the foundation of every society, whether it's primitive tribal societies or whether it's a complex society. Family is the foundation. Take care of your families. What we now call nuclear and the extended, because the arham extends. And then ultimately we're all from Banu Adam. كلكم من آدم وآدم من تراب. So we share the rahm of Adam and Hawa alayhim as-salam. So, and then he said, and give some night prayer. Pray at night when others are sleeping. Aisha said, when every lover went to his beloved at night, the Prophet went to his Lord. تتجافى جنوبهم عن المضاجع يدعون ربهم خوفا وطمعا. They get up at night from their madaji', from their places where they're sleeping. This is what this early community did. They used to get up and ask Allah forgiveness before dawn. Sahaba did this. This was their practice. And then he said, you will enter paradise in peace. He begins his khutbah with peace. He ends it with peace. After every prayer, what did he say? Astaghfirullah, Astaghfirullah, Astaghfirullah. Allahumma anta as-salam, wa minka as-salam, wa ilayka ya'ud as-salam. Hayyina Rabbana bis-salam. Tabaraka wa ta'alayta, ya dhal jalali wal ikram. He would say, oh Allah, you are salam, and from you is salam, and to you returns salam. Let us live in salam. Let us live in peace. Abshu salam bainakum. The Prophet ﷺ said, لا تدخلوا الجنة حتى تؤمنوا ولا تؤمنوا حتى تحابوا. You will not enter paradise until you believe, and you will not believe until you love one another. ألا أدلكم على شيء إذا فعلتموه تحاببتم أفشوا السلام بينكم. Can't I tell you something that if you'll do it, that if you will love one another. In other words, you will believe, you will love one another, and therefore, right, the hidden conclusion, and therefore you will enter paradise. Can I tell you what to do? Bala ya Rasulullah, tell us what to do. Afshu salam bainakum. Spread peace amongst you. Spread peace amongst you. The Prophet ﷺ said, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. The Prophet ﷺ told us to spread peace. Why? Because this is what human beings want. In the Quran, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَهُمْ مَا يَدَّعُونَ, they have what they يَتَمَنُّونَ. This is what Ibn Juzay and others say it means. يَدَّعُونَ here means what they wish, what they're desiring for, what they're calling out for. Salamun qawlan min Rabbir Rahim. Some of the Mufassirun say salam there is called a bedal. It's in a positive. In other words, it's the same as ma yadda'un. What they have is salam. That's why Allah calls to Darus Salam. That Jannah is finally the peace that we've all been looking for. Peace. And this is why the Mufassirun say when they first come into paradise, qawlan min Rabbir Rahim. A word from a merciful Lord. The Prophet ﷺ is the rahmah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He was merciful with the believers because He gave them the means for peace. Afshu salam bainakum. Now we have fitan. This is what we have. We have fitan. Fitan is when Muslims kill each other. That's fitna. And there's no other word for it. There's no other word for it. You don't call it jihad. Jihad is not fighting other Muslims. It's not killing other Muslims. You don't call that jihad. It's fitna. Now, the Prophet ﷺ gave us some advice. He said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, إنها, and this is a sahih hadith, إنها ستكون فتنة يكون المضطجع فيها خيرا من الجاد. There will be, and in another riwayah it says fitna, there will be this civil strife, calamities. It's better in that case to be lying down than to be sitting. وَالْجَالِسُ خَيْرٌ مِنَ الْقَائِمِ, and the jalis is better than the one standing. And the one standing is better than the one walking. And the one walking is better than the one running. Ya Rasulullah, ma ta'muruni? قال من كانت له إبن فليلحق بإبنه. In other words, find some way of having your livelihood and your source, and just do that. ومن كانت فليلحق بغنمه. If you have some sheep, go get your sheep. ومن كانت له أرض فليلحق بأرضه. And then he said, فَمَنْ لَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ شَيْءٌ مِنْ ذَلِكَ قَالَ فَلْيَعْمِلْ إِلَى سَيْفِهِ فَلْيَضْرِبْ بِحَدِّهِ عَلَى حَرْبَهِ ثُمَّ لِيَنْجُو مَا اسْتَطَاعَ النَّجَاةَ. Then let him break his weapon. And if he's able to be safe from that fitna, let him be safe. But don't kill people that say, La ilaha illallah. Because if you shed blood of somebody that says, La ilaha illallah, woe unto you on the Yawm al-Qiyamah. Woe unto you on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Somebody that says, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, and you just remove them from the world. And this also includes human beings that aren't fighting you. It's not just the Muslims. Because لا ينهاكم عن الذين لم يقاتلكم في الدين. Allah He doesn't prevent you from being good. أَتَبَرُّهُمْ. Show them good. Show them goodness. Because that would make them want to be like you, to come into your religion. But if you treat them horribly, why would they want to become Muslim? For the first time in 1400 years, these Christians have been protected. They've been protected in the Muslim land. Rarely in Muslim history, even during the Armenian crisis in Turkey, Farhat Basha wrote letters, do not harm in dealing with the Armenian problem, because that's a whole other discussion. But Farhat Basha, there are official documents that are recorded where he said, do make sure you do not harm other Christian communities in Ottoman land. It was not about their religion. And the Ottomans took care of these people. This was our religion. This was our religion. Protecting these people. Haji Khalid, a beautiful Turkish man, who hid Armenians in his house for over half a year because he was worried that they would be killed during these, in 1915, when the Armenian crisis was happening in Turkey. There were Muslims that did, and there still are, trust me, there are Christians now being protected by Muslims, because there are Muslims that know what this religion is. But we have young people now that have lost all sense of what this religion is. And they don't know, they didn't grow up with your grandparents. There's enough of you in here to know the religion of your grandparents. Those of you who are Muslims, you know the religion of your grandparents. You know the religion they taught you. This is not the religion that's being practiced today. These are people that have had no tarbiyah. They have no love. ألا لا إيمان لمن لا محبة له. ألا لا إيمان لمن لا محبة له. He has no iman who has no love. In another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ warned us about these people. And he said, and this is very important for people to understand, he said, يَحْقِرُ أَحَدُكُمْ صَلَاتُهُ مَعَ صَلَاتِهِ. You will deem your prayer insignificant when you see their prayer. وَصِيَامُهُ مَعَ صِيَامِهِمْ. And your fasting insignificant. They fast Mondays and Thursdays, or every other day. وَقِرَاءَتُهُ مَعَ قِرَاءَتِهِمْ. And you will think your recitation of Quran is nothing by the amount of recitation that they do. And he said, يَقْرَؤُونَ الْقُرْآنَ وَلَا يُجَاوِزُ حَنَاجِرَهُم. In a riwayah, حُلُوقَهُم. لَا يُجَاوِزُ حَنَاجِرَهُم. In other words, it doesn't go down their throat. They don't understand the Quran. So they're praying at night, they're doing tahajjud. Don't be fooled by piety. Don't be fooled by piety. They may even be sincere in their error. Ibn Qayyim al-Jawzi talks about people that are mukhlisun but not mukhlasun. They have ikhlas in what they're doing, but they don't have tawfiq from Allah in their ikhlas. And those are dangerous people. يَمْرُقُونَ مِنَ الدِّينِ كَمَا يَمْرُقَ السَّهْمُ مِنَ الرَّمِيَّةِ. They will go out of this religion like an arrow goes out of the bow. Ibn Taymiyyah said about this that the foundation of ibadah in our religion is prayer, fasting, and Quran recitation. And he said, that's what fools people. If you see these people and they're pious and doing all these things, you get fooled by them. And finally, the Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّ بَيْنَ يَدَيَ السَّاعَةِ لَهَرْجًا. Before the hour is always near. Since the time the Prophet came, اقتربت الساعة وانشق القمر. The hour is near. He said, before the hour comes, there will be much indiscriminate killing. قال أبو موسى الأشعري, the Sahabi asked him, قلت يا رسول الله ما الحرج? They didn't know that word. He said, القتل, murder. فقال بعض المسلمين يا رسول الله إن نقتل الآن في العام الواحد من المشركين كذا وكذا. We're killing, in our battles, we're killing mushrikeen. In other words, we have qatl now. What did the Prophet ﷺ said? لَيْسَ بِقَتْلِ الْمُشْرِكِينَ وَلَكِنْ يَقْتُلُ بَعْضُكُمْ بَعْضًا. You're not killing mushrikeen, you're killing each other. And then he said, حَتَّى يَقْتُلَ الرَّجُلُ جَارَهُ. A man will kill his own neighbor, وَابْنَ عَمِّهِ وَقَرَابَتُهُ. He'll kill his own cousin or somebody related to him. فَقَالَ بَعْضُ الْقَوْمِ يَا رَسُولُ اللَّهِ أَمَعْنَا عُقُولُنَا يَوْمَئِذٍ. O Messenger of God, do we have our brains? Do we have our intellects? Do we have our brains in those days? They can't understand it. They're trying to figure out, are they mad people? Have they gone crazy? Because what is the aql that prevents you from doing evil? فَقَالَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ لَا. They don't. تُنْزَعُ عُقُولُ حَتَّى بِذَلِكَ الزَّمَانِ. The people, the majority of people in those days won't have any brain. Just look around you on this planet. I'm telling you, look around you. People can't control their appetite. There's fatness everywhere. People can't control how they eat. People used to control. They ate in measured amounts. When they were full, they stopped eating. They can't do that now. We've got people that weigh just incredible amounts. Because why? The aql should tell you, stop, you're too fat. It's not healthy for you. But people lose their ability to constrain themselves. And this is what he said. And then he said something amazing. يَحْسِبُ أَكْثَرُهُمْ. And everything he says is one. يَحْسِبُ أَكْثَرُهُمْ أَنَّهُمْ عَلَى شَيْءٍ وَلَيْسُوا عَلَى شَيْءٍ. Most of them will think that they're on something substantial.